Here are my tips if you want to train like a professional triathlete. Nutrition is critical. Triathlon is a highly demanding endurance sport that requires a significant amount of energy. Consuming a well-balanced diet of carbs, protein, and fat provides the necessary energy for optimal performance. The biggest mistake we see is that people cannot actually keep up with the energy demands of training of this level. So make sure that you are very in tune with how much you're eating to support your training throughout the sessions, as well as recovering so you can train again later in the day. Sleep and rest between sessions. Make sure that you prioritize sleep and you allow yourself adequate recovery between every single one of your training sessions. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night to promote tissue repair, hormone regulation, as well as mental rejuvenation. Stretching, mobility, foam rolling. These are key things that professional triathletes are doing before and after every single key session. Make sure that you're not just rolling out of bed and getting on the bike for your workout. Give yourself an extra 15 to 20 minutes of time to do rolling out, pre-activation, and make sure you're mentally prepared for whatever session you're about to do. Something the pros are doing is they're adding active recovery after their key sessions. So maybe you did a hard run workout in the morning. They're then going and spinning on the bike just to loosen up their legs, facilitate recovery and blood flow in order to get ready for the next session. You doing so also increases your efficiency on the bike, because the more frequently you can get on the bike and interact with it, the more efficient you're going to be with your pedal stroke and be able to have an opportunity to work on your form. Something that separates professionals from age group athletes is they know how to listen to their body. If something is on the schedule and they have not recovered from the day before, they do not push through. Something that you can do is you can always warm up and always kind of start the pre-activation for that key session, and maybe try just one interval. If you are not performing at your optimum levels for that session, maybe heart rate's too high or just can't push the pace like you'd like to, then you should just back off for the day, turn it into an active recovery session or a zone 2 session, and then be prepared to work the next day. Something that professionals do is that they are consistent in their training. What allows them to be consistent is as soon as they're done with their session the day before, they're immediately thinking about the next session. So they're thinking about how they can recover from that session through optimum fueling or optimum recovery modalities. They're then already planning ahead so that they're getting the correct sleep, fuel that evening, and then the next day they're waking up early, doing all the pre-workout activation, rolling out, getting themselves mentally prepared to then be engaged in the session that's ahead. This allows them to be consistent with their training day in and day out. Most professional athletes have coaches. One thing I've noticed between a professional athlete and an age group athlete is how well they communicate. They know exactly what to communicate and when. So we can see the data from the file, typically on Training Peaks, which is what we use, but then they're communicating with us how they felt, what might have impacted that session, and mentally where they were in that session. Once we get that intel, we can then understand the athlete better, we can understand the load that we can give them, and we can understand how we need to progress the following days, if we need to keep pushing forwards or we need to back off. In turn, training the optimal amount that their body can handle at that period of time. Something professional athletes do is they invest in themselves. And so what that looks like is they might invest in professional massage, they might invest in a strength coach. You know, if you're unfamiliar with the gym, learning how to lift weights correctly, you're not going to try to do that on your own. You're going to invest in someone to help to show you how to do it correctly. They may invest in optimum fueling. You know, if you don't fuel well, you're not going to feel well in order to train at the level that pros train. So make sure that you don't think of it as an expense, just think of it as an investment into your future that in turn is going to optimize your training and get you to your goals a lot quicker. Something a professional athlete does is they do train a lot. You know, this is an endurance sport and it rewards the volume. So most of my professional triathletes, depending on where they are in their development, might train anywhere from 20 to 30 hours per week. We have a lot of professional athletes that are only doing the sport for about 2 years now. We're going to keep them on the lower side because we need their body to learn to adapt to that load before we can progress it. But those that have been doing this for a while, it typically takes them about 25-30 hours a week to make sure that they're still advancing in their swim, bike, and run. Just know that the sport rewards hard work. And so really, if you can just learn how to optimize your day so that you can get the training in and make sure you feel good when it's time to work hard, the rest of it being actually pretty easy, you're going to be someone that has success in the sport.